My name's Natasha Thompson, and I just have one question. Do you believe in ghost stories? Neither did I, till I happened upon a sleepy little town deep in the mountains. The streets were empty and completely still aside from a crushed Coca-Cola can taking a free ride on the cold wind that was visible with curtains of thick fog. It was nearly dusk, but the hour was hard to tell, because the sky was darker than usual. I parked my car in front of the one building that resembled a cafe with a blinking open sign in the window. There were no cars outside that I could see, but my growling stomach urged me to push through the front doors. The fog outside was no match for the haze that met me inside the front door of the cafe. The putrid smell of week-old cigarette butts filled my nostrils. What an off-putting way for a cafe to smell, I thought to myself. Nonetheless, my hunger pushed me on further down a hall, where I could hear voices and dishes clattering in the distance. I was desperate for something warm to eat. I stepped inside, and the room grew quiet and still, and all eyes fell upon me. I became uncomfortable and instantly began to fuss with my sweat-filled hair and wipe dirt from my trekking pants. I realized I probably looked like I had emerged from the garbage can out back, but little did they know I had just completed a backpacking trip in the Emerald Forest not far from this town. "Could I get a table for one?" I said to the chubby waitress. "Right this way," she responded as she snatched a menu from a nearby table and walked to the other side of the room. She plopped the menu down on a table full of other people and rolled her eyes as she pulled out a chair for me. "Could I get a booth?" I asked, annoyed, looking around an entire room of otherwise empty tables. "No other tables open," she hissed as she walked away in a hurry. Awkwardly, I sat down on the chair the waitress had arranged for me and said hello to the 4 sets of eyes staring at me. "Gloomy evening outside, isn't it?" I said, and immediately asked the 3 middle-aged men and 1 older woman what the dinner special was. "Potato soup, the best in these mountains," the older woman responded with a straight face and looking at me longer than the situation required. "Well, I'll have that then," I smiled at her and immediately began to look around the room to distract myself. "You see anything strange out in them woods? Or hear anything that'll make the hair on the back of your neck stand up?" asked one of the men closest to me. The Emerald Forest is a dangerous place for a young woman to be tromping around alone. I sneered back at him and braced myself for the onslaught of comments I expected to hear about how dangerous it was for people of the female kind to hike alone. Men have no faith in our gender, I thought to myself. "It's not just dangerous for young women, it's dangerous for everyone. Grown men leave that forest in tears," said the old woman, as she glared down the man sitting closest to me. "I wasn't crying," he shouted. "I was nearly killed out there, and everyone thinks it's a dang funny joke. The laughingstock of the mountain. I will never unsee what I saw that day." "What did you see?" I asked hesitantly, bracing myself to be told a grand tale of bears or other nefarious land mammals I could have encountered during my stay in the woods. "It only comes out early in the evening, when the sun is deep in the mountains and the air is cloaked in fog," said the old woman. "The ghost of Emerald Forest is said to be a lost soul of the Civil War, a prisoner of war who escaped the filthy hands of the enemies and took refuge in the thick forest to lick his wounds before finding his way home. His home is said to have been right here in this here town." The waitress sloshed dingy plastic cups of water on the table, splashing their contents around in the clumsy manner I began to associate her with. "Y'all know what you want, or what?" she asked as she chomped a big wad of yellow gum. "We all want the special, Marge, thanks," said one of the 2 other men who hadn't yet spoken. Marge walked away, and the old woman continued with her tale. "Nobody knows the man's final fate, but bad things happen surrounding the ghost's mysterious appearances. The 3 of us you're sitting with at this table have all had experiences of our own." "Wait, 3? "There are 4 of you," I said. Just then the lights in the dingy bar began to flicker and the air grew cold. A faint light shone on the 4th person that hadn't spoken at my table, and he peered through my soul with black and empty eyes. I felt the hair on the back of my neck stand up, and at that moment I knew that the ghost of Emerald Forest was more than just a story. Thanks for listening.